Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. I'm your host, Manager Marty. I welcome each and every last one of you for joining me right now, live in living color. If you're watching the replay of this live, I welcome you as well. If you are a hater, spy, or a detractor of mine, I equally welcome you as well. Look, we're going to get right into it. I promise you, I'm not going to hold you long. But let's talk about a few topics of discussion. First and foremost, let's start off by talking about Keshawn Davis. Yeah, we going right in tonight. Keshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos. This is what we are hearing around the boxing community, that this fight is signed and sealed. Now, last time I checked, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the last time I checked, Edwin De Los Santos is Shakur Stevens's leftovers. Yes, he gave Shakur some good competition. Let's not get it twisted. We know who De Los Santos is when they fought out there in Vegas. He gave Shakur some work now. He didn't lay down for Shakur Stevenson. And if this fight officially does take place between him and Keshawn, I highly doubt if he's going to lay down for Keshawn Davis. Here's the thing about Keshawn Davis fighting De Los Santos. I think it's a good fight for Keshawn, considering the fact that Keshawn has the style that can disrupt anyone's rhythm in the ring. He has a lot of good attributes that contribute to him looking as impressive as he does. But let's be clear on something. De Los Santos is a gatekeeper. And that's not saying that he cannot compete. That's not saying that he is not an active fighter. That does not mean that he does not deserve credit for him competing. Because I believe all professional athletes and all professional boxers deserve credence and credit just for the fact that they are participating as a professional in this sport of boxing. But we got to keep it all the way 100. De Los Santos is not being advertised as a threat for any of the top competitors at 135 pounds in that division. Let me be more plain. Keshawn Davis is a good young fighter. Yes, we know that he holds a title now. We know that. But we also know that Bob Arum has the sanctioning body, the WBO, in his back pocket. We know that. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because all of that is a part of the business of boxing. He has a long-standing relationship with the WBO. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Go ask Terrence Crawford. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Go ask Manny Pacquiao. You don't have Timothy Bradley. And I can name more fighters that have been with Top Rank as a professional fighter and basically have captured that WBO title. That's all I'm saying. That's all. See, that's all I'm saying. Double salute to my guy, All Things. He's a member of the channel and supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. Double salute to my guy, Jeremy Austin. He is also a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. Double salute to the family, Lucky McKinnells. He is also an honorary member of the channel. In fact, he is actually a supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. He really is. I mean, he's more than that. That's my guy. I mean, all these public mentions of the gentlemen I just named who are members of this channel and supervisors of the Roll the Tape film crew, all of them are my guys. All of them. Definitely my guys. And some people in the chat. Cash Crypto, I see you. My guys. My guys, man. So what I'm basically getting at is, yes, Keshawn Davis has skills. We're not going to diminish his skills. We're not going to act like he's not a talented fighter. Keshawn Davis is a mid-tier professional boxer based on his popularity. See, I done told y'all about a phone booth. There's three things that male professional boxers have to do to become a superstar in this business. Double salute to my homegirl, Todd Drinkford. She's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. Good to see you, Ty. There's three things now that a professional boxer must do to become a superstar. Number one, you have to bring the stars out. Number two, you have to bring the cars out. And number three, you have to bring the bras out. And this is not a knock on Keshawn, but he hasn't checked all three boxes yet. So he's not a superstar. Is he a star? Yes. He's not a superstar yet. Does he have the potential to be a superstar? That remains to be seen. But I'm saying that even though he's talented now, don't forget he has a machine behind him. And a lot of times we look at the professional boxers and we give them a lot of credit, which they do deserve. But I know there's an old adage in boxing, and I don't like this adage. I don't like this old saying. That's why I told y'all months ago that I'm going to change the saying on this podcast. The saying goes like this: you're only as good as your last fight. I don't particularly subscribe to that adage because it doesn't matter what a professional boxer does only in their last fight. There's other factors and dynamics involved. And the number one factor and dynamic involved to progress the career of a professional boxer is this adage, is this saying: you're only as good as your team around you. And Keshawn Davis has a team around him. And there's one member on that team that I always highlight for top ranked fighters. And his name is Brad Goodman, the matchmaker, Hall of Fame matchmaker. See, I keep saying his name for a reason. And the reason being is because when Brad Goodman had the pen and the pad in his right hand and the cell phone in his left hand, the fighter that he's advocating for is going to look good. I'm talking about the A-side fighter on Top Rank. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm giving Keshawn credit now, not diminishing his credit. What I'm saying is Keshawn Davis is being matched properly. And De Los Santos will not be an exception to that rule of thumb. I'm not saying that De Los Santos is going to look bad in this fight, if they do fight. We're hearing it that it's official, but you know me as the manager in boxing. There's nothing official yet until I see what I need to see and hear what I need to hear from those that push the buttons. And I haven't heard it too much lately of this fight. However, with that being said, how much credit do Keyshawn get if he does beat De Los Santos? And what's next for him? I'm going to stop the school bus right there because I want to talk about Tank Davis now. Because that's a guy who Keshawn Davis keep calling his name out. That's the guy who Shakur Stevenson have been calling his name out. That's the guy when people want to build their notoriety, they call Tank Davis's name out. And I'm not blaming them for calling his name out. I'm not mad. If that's what you have to do, go on and do it. But if you brought the cars out, if you brought the stars out, and if you brought the bras out, you wouldn't have to piggyback off of Tank Davis's name to build your own. So if that's your marketing strategy, cool. No problem. All I'm saying is, if you're going to call his name out, make sure when you call his name out, we could actually get the fight produced. See, it makes no sense to call out, not just Tank, but we talking about Tank right now. It makes no sense to me to call out Tank Davis when you know you about to fight another opponent next week. It doesn't make sense to me if you're going to call out Tank Davis's name when Tank Davis have a fight with a different opponent next week. That's all I'm saying. Call his name out when you know that your team can literally pick up the phone with his team and really materialize a deal. Because if you can't materialize a deal, then what you calling his name out for? If you know that the possibilities are very slim in the near future to ink a deal to fight Tank Davis, then what you calling his name out for? I mean, Lamont Roach didn't even call his name out. And he has the opportunity to fight Tank Davis twice. And speaking of Tank Davis, we're hearing that Tank Davis hired a new trainer. Can anybody in the chat, live and living color, or anybody in the comment section confirm that? Is that true or not? I'm not talking about reports said. I'm not talking about your favorite content creator said. I'm not talking about Mike Coppinger said. I'm not talking about what a journalist said. I'm talking about, is that actually true that Tank Davis hired a new trainer by the name of Mustafa? And Mustafa is a great trainer, actually. Most of you've seen him recently if you watched the Williams Zepeda fight against Tevin Former. But in any event, I'm just asking, does anybody know if that's actually true, or is that something that reports are saying? Once again, I don't go by hearsay. Y'all know what my quote is. Hearsay is heresy. Did Tank Davis come out and confirm that he hired Mustafa as his new trainer? I'm just asking. I don't know. That's why I'm asking y'all. Did Mustafa come out and confirm that he is the new trainer of Tank Davis? Did Calvin Ford come out? Barry Hunter come out? Coach Kenny come out? I know Coach Kenny regularly appears on uh Mill City Boxing's channel. I haven't been on Mill City's boxing channel in a while, but maybe some of you have. Did Coach Kenny come out and confirm that? Because I don't know. I'm just asking. You know, I mean, I can pick up the phone and really find out. But I figured, you know, since these reports keep coming out, is that true? Yeah, I go by the actual sources. If it's not Tank Davis himself, somebody else that might know Tank Davis that's close to the camp that can push buttons. Not just people just reporting on it because they heard something or they saw a video of him in Atlanta training with a new trainer or working the mitts with another trainer. I'm just saying, I just what I you know, that's why I figured I asked some of you. Because that's what we keep hearing. And here's the thing, what difference does it make? Let's say he did hire Mustafa as his new trainer. Okay. Why is that front page news? Tell us something that you know about Mustafa if you're gonna be a reporter on it. Because I haven't heard people even talking about Coach Mustafa before this. Coach Mustafa was just in the corner of Tevin Former. But the same people that's reporting this, they never spoke on Coach Mustafa being in Tevin Former's corner. Just within a matter of a couple of weeks. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. So, okay, so let's say he is in this corner. Okay. Let's say he did hire him as his new trainer. Okay. This is not the first time in boxing where a professional boxer hires a new trainer. Why is this front page news? Is it because it's Tank Davis? I'm just asking. I don't know. It's probably because it's Tank, right? Okay, let's say he did hire him. Okay, great. He hired a new trainer. Coach Calvin Ford was still in Tank's corner, but he played number 2. He wasn't the chief second on the night of the fight between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. We all know that at this point. Maybe it's time for Tank Davis to get a new trainer. I don't know. I don't make those assessments. I leave that up to the actual experts who are actual trainers, not content creators, not journalists, not reporters who've never even put on a pair of hand wraps or even sparred before in their life or have no interest in competing or never had any interest of competing just as an amateur in boxing or learning the skill set. I don't go by the words of people like that. They're just fans, in my opinion. I mean, we all are fans, but y'all know what I'm trying to say, right? You don't? Because I don't want to start no controversy. Okay, I do want to start controversy. But what I'm basically saying is, what difference does it make? Okay, he might have hired him. All right, and I mean, we don't even know when Lamont Roach and Tank Davis is going to fight. We heard it was in June. And now people are saying it might not be in June. Once again, you've never heard me speak on it, did you? You never heard me come out and say, I'm confirming that this is the actual date that Tank Davis is going to fight Lamont Roach in a rematch. Have you? Nope. And there's a reason for that. Once again, I don't go by assuming and I don't go by hearsay. So, okay, he hired him. Where the paperwork? Did anybody see any paperwork? Did anybody see them exchange handshakes or any money? How you know he hired him? He could have just went down there to learn a few techniques, make some improvements, make some adjustments in his new camp. He might not even be in the camp yet. He's just probably just, working the mitts, hitting the heavy bag. We don't know. But what difference does it make, y'all? Let's focus on whether these two athletes, these two professionals, these two world champions, Tank Davis and Lamont Roach, is actually going to compete. Let's focus on that. when we talk about Tank Davis, let's start building the fight up. Let's start anticipating this rematch. I'm just saying, as a culture, as a boxing community, people reporting on all kind of silly stuff for what? To each his own. I'm not here to criticize. I'm just saying, okay, he hired a new trainer. All right, whoop-de-doo. That's not the first time in boxing we've seen boxers hire new trainers. I mean, all right, cool. He hired a new trainer. All right, cool. No problem. He hired a new trainer. So why is that front page news? I mean, what should be front page news is what adjustments are Tank Davis going to make if there is a rematch? What is front page news is what adjustments are Lamont Roach going to make if this fight does happen? I'm just asking the question. That's all. I'm just a manager at Walmart. I'm just a manager at Target. You leave it up to Bill Haney. That's what he said I am. So you leave it up to people in my comment section. I don't know nothing about boxing. You leave it up to people in my live chat sometime. I'm a fake manager. You leave it up to my comment section. Some people have been saying for 2 years that I've been here, I'm a goofy. I'm lame. But I think everybody that's watching me live in living color and the replay of this live know all of those statements are far from the truth. All I'm saying is, I think as a community, we should start focusing on things that really matter, that can really push the needle when it comes to the fights that we really genuinely want, opposed to wasting time on things that really are frivolous and really don't matter. Now, speaking of things that don't matter, let's talk about something that didn't matter before, and I was criticized for bringing it up. What didn't matter was Jaron Boots Ennis fighting Virgil Ortiz. Y'all remember that? That didn't matter. I mean, people kept calling Boots a duck, right? And the thing about it is, people were saying he was a duck because he didn't fight Virgil Ortiz when the offer landed on his lap through Turkey Alashiki negotiating with Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn on behalf of Boots. And them same people, watch this now, because you ain't heard this from nobody else. You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. I love how I say that. You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. But that's why I'm glad you're here. Y'all remember when Virgil Ortiz, and I got the tape queued up. If you challenge me, I will play it. You remember that wasn't for the family. That wasn't for the roller tape family. That was for the haters. That was for them. That wasn't for y'all. That was for them. Y'all remember when Virgil Ortiz called out Terrence Crawford? Y'all remember that? Some of y'all might have forgot about that. Listen, let me say that again. Virgil Ortiz, in post-fight interviews and in personal interviews several years ago, called out Terrence Crawford after one of his fights. Matter of fact, when he fought Maurice Hooker, he called out Bud. A couple other fighters he fought after he fought them, he called out Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, when Terrence Crawford didn't fight him, the same people that's calling Boots a duck for not fighting Virgil Ortiz did not keep that same energy and called Terrence Crawford a duck when Virgil Ortiz kept calling him out. Y'all remember that? Some of y'all might have forgot about that, right? Go do your research if you don't believe. Virgil Ortiz kept calling Terrence Crawford out publicly and in private interviews. And Terrence Crawford didn't fight Virgil Ortiz. But the same people on YouTube that's criticizing Boots and that has criticized Boots, calling him a duck for not fighting Virgil Ortiz, are the same ones that did not call Terrence Crawford a duck for not fighting Virgil Ortiz after Virgil was calling him out. I'm going to take it another step further because you ain't going to find this nowhere else either. That's why I'm glad you're here. The same people that called Jaron Boots Ennis a duck for not going over to another country to fight Virgil Ortiz on the undercard are the same people that's criticizing Shakur Stevenson for fighting for Turkey Al-Ashiki in another country on the undercard. Good God from Zion. You see that? I'm going to say that last part again because I think somebody may have not heard it. The same people that called Boots Ennis a duck for not going to another country to fight Virgil Ortiz on the undercard are the same ones that criticize Shakur Stevenson for fighting in another country on the undercard for Turkey Al-Ashik. Which one is it? We need answers. This is why you can't keep going by hearsay and do your due diligence and your homework if you really love the sport of boxing. See, I brought these things to the forefront because no one else has. Everybody keep running with narratives and jumping on the bandwagon and hot button topics. That's why I wait till everybody shoot their load out first, then I give y'all my perspective. Because my perspective is typically original and independent. Because I know the business. Now let's chop that down for a minute. Boots Ennis is fighting this Saturday, this weekend, Boardwalk Hall, Atlantic City, New Jersey, in a unification bout against Stan Jonas. Now, hold on for a minute. He turned down the offer that Turkey Al-Ashiki made to fight Virgil Ortiz in another country on a Riyadh season card on the undercard, and he was criticized for doing that. But yet, the fighters that are fighting on the Riyadh season for Turkey Al-Ashik's Riyadh season on undercards in other countries, they're getting praised for it. So there's three different dynamics happening at one time. And that's why I called it Jaron Ennis hypocrisy. Because people are being hypocritical of Boots. Double salute to my guy Band Up. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew. Let's put this in proper perspective. Boots turned down the fight not because he was ducking Virgil Ortiz, not because he was scared to compete against Virgil Ortiz. He turned down the fight to fulfill his dream and accomplish his goal that he set out from the very beginning, and that is to be undisputed welterweight champion of the world. Watch the hypocrisy in this. Hypocrisy number 4. When Errol Spence refused to take any tune-ups to only compete against opponents who had world titles like Sean Porter, like Manny Pacquiao, like Terrence Crawford, like Ugas, after he beat Pacquiao, Errol Spence was praised for wanting to be undisputed as the welterweight champion of the world. Wasn't he? Okay. But when Boots want to be undisputed as the welterweight champion of the world and accomplish his goal, he get criticized for it. Hypocrisy number 5. Terrence Crawford is on tape, live in a public interview with Heidi. Ain't her name Heidi? No, not Heidi. Katie Abdul. Katie Abdul, and I wrote the tape last week on this, and I actually conducted an interview on this on other platforms, and I also published my own video on this in live time when Terrence Crawford said in an interview, I wrote the tape on it because it was an old interview from a year prior when he was in the sweepstakes promoting his fight with David Evanesian. A year before that, he does an interview with Katie Abdul, right? And he actually said, when he was asked about fighting Errol Spence to become undisputed, he actually said, I've already done that already. I became undisputed already at 140 pounds. I don't have to be undisputed at 147. This is all before he got with Victor Conti in the snack program, by the way. But in any event, he says, oh, I don't have to. It's not a goal of mine. I've already accomplished it. I'm good where I'm at. My legacy is already sealed. Y'all remember that? Don't make me play the tape. I got that queued up too if you don't believe me. Now, that wasn't for the Roll the Tape family. That was for the haters, spies, and detractors that's here. Y'all remember when Terrence Crawford said that? He's already accomplished that goal. Y'all remember that? Oh, okay. Hypocrisy number 6. What about when Terrence Crawford fought Errol Spence to become undisputed? The same people that's criticizing Boots for wanting to accomplish his goal to become undisputed in the welterweight division as a welterweight champion of the world are the same ones who praised Terrence Crawford for beating Errol Spence and becoming undisputed welterweight champion of the world. Which one is it? You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. See, they ain't talking about this. But we gotta keep it all the way 100. Now, somebody's gonna say, Manager Marty, you're just biased because you're cool with Boots. You know Mr. Bosey and them. Personally, you're a friend of theirs. You're from the same city of the. Yeah, you just being biased. No, I'm not. I'm keeping it real all the way down the middle. Double salute to my homegirl, Ariana. She's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew. Hey, Ariana. Let's keep it in proper perspective. Jaron Boots Ennis is fighting this weekend in a unification bout against the WBA world champion in the welterweight division. Winner takes all. And he's been criticized for that because he did not go on a Riyadh season card in another country on the undercard and watch this, in another weight division? How is that good business when in July of 2024, his first time competing in an arena as the headliner in his hometown of Philadelphia, sold out, and then 4 months later, in November of 2024, Eddie Hearn and them spin the block, go back to the same arena. 4 months later now, 4 months later, have Boots fight again. He sells it out again at home as the headliner now. And people expect him to become an undercard in another country at 154 pounds. Tell me how that makes good business sense, because it doesn't. Once again, I'm in the business now. There's nothing wrong with champions fighting champions. Since when do a champion get criticized for fighting another champion? I'm just trying to figure when. Because the last time I checked, Mario Barrios, the WBC welterweight champ, in his last fight, he didn't fight another world champion on Netflix. What about Brian Norman Jr.? He's the WBO welterweight champion. And last time I checked, in his last fight, which was recent as a couple of weekends ago, He didn't even fight a world champion. But here it is, Boots is getting criticized as a world champion, competing against another world champion to be unified in his division. That don't make no sense to me at all. In the weight class that he holds a title in, opposed to him going to another country, being on the undercard fighting at a different weight class. It doesn't matter what Boots said after the fight when he fought Karen in Philly. I was ringside. Some people called me on the phone live, was like, yo, I just saw you on TV. But the point that I'm making is that he's getting criticized because he don't want to be on the undercard. The man showed you twice that he's a big ticket seller in his hometown. He deserves credit for that. That's the business of boxing. Why go headline on the... Let me reframe that. Shakur Stevenson does very well at home at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. We all know that is a fact. Either he sells it out or he almost sells it out every time he fights at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, his hometown. But yet, he found himself on an undercard. On the flip side of that coin, Brian Norman Jr. never fought in his hometown as the headliner at all. On record, I've never seen it yet. Not criticizing him, but let's keep it 100. And in his last fight, he fought a guy. Yes, the guy was undefeated, but he fought a guy that was coming off a 2-year layoff, having competed professionally in the ring for 2 years. But yet, it's still Brian Norman Sr. is running around campaigning that his son is better than Boots, and Boots has no power. In a recent interview that I saw this morning from AM Sports Media, shout out to AM Sports Media for conducting an interview with Brian Norman Sr. That's all I'm saying. But Boots is getting criticized for putting his title on the line and being able to win the Ring magazine title, the Ring belt, and even another title, the WBA title in the welterweight division. Somebody got to help me make this make sense, please. And that's all I'm saying. And I got to say this, but Brian Norman Jr. should have done what he did in the 3rd round. That's what he was supposed to do. I mean, hello. But at the same time, Brian Norman Jr. took a big shot. Some of y'all might have missed it because it happened so fast. You seen his knee buckle real quick? Okay. So fighters can get hit and get hurt. It's boxing. And so we're in for a treat Saturday night. I'm going to try to do another live tomorrow night, give a preview, open up the panel. Let's give some predictions and preview of a unification bout between 2 world champions. Stanley Jonas is not coming to Atlantic City, New Jersey to lay down for Boots. It's going to be a good fight. But it's champion versus champion. So, like I told y'all before, and I'm going to say it again, Boots Ennis should not be criticized at all for wanting to be unified and undisputed in one weight class and capitalize off of the fact that he had 2 back-to-back sellout crowds within a 4-month time span as the main event, just to be subservient to a fan's liking of him fighting on an undercard. That's not good business. When he could have just waited out a couple months, which he did, to unify the title in his division, which he's doing this weekend. If that's not good business, I don't know what else is. That's good business. And guess what? He's going to capitalize off of this performance, if he performs well, which I believe he will, and then guess what? Go ahead and fight one of the other two world champions, either Brian Norman Jr. or Mario Barrios. I think that at this point, he should fight Brian Norman Jr. next. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves because anything can happen in boxing. I believe what I believe when it comes to Boots, of course, but at the same time, we're in for a good fight. So let's allow the fight to happen instead of fast forward into other fights next. And that's why I say that Jaron Boots Ennis has the last laugh because everybody that criticized him look foolish right now. And for the 5 or 6 hypocritical reasons that I gave y'all, Jaron Boots Ennis is in a really, really good position. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.